Do you talk? Those three words. Yeah, I might seem a little awkward, a little cringy you might say, and I stutter here and there, but little known fact that you probably don't know about me is I used to be that mute kid. That kid in elementary school and especially high school that just followed the crowd. The person in the corner of the back that no one really knew who his name was. No one even knew that I could open my mouth and talk. And during those days, those were one of the darkest days in my life. Because these three simple words, do you talk? Those three words made me feel like I was worthless. For some people, you might feel and not deal with things like social anxiety. On top of that, just overall being anxious and having anxiety in general. Things of like when you're in a room full of people that you don't know. Even me, I tend to freeze up nowadays and revert to my old ways. But if there's something that I will never do now is not have, the ability to speak up, right? I remember I've attached so much pain to these type of incidences and experiences when I was growing up that I promised myself ever since I finished high school that I was never, ever going to be that person again. Because I felt helpless. I felt that I didn't have a voice. Like, to have people point fingers at you and tell you who you are, put you down in a condescending way. And for you to not be able to respond or react in a way that you could truly be yourself. Here's a little story time. So pretty much the first incident that happened, which I talked about in a previous video, is during math class where it was in the middle of the year where everyone should have known each other by now, and it was something about returning a test, and I gave the test back to the teacher, and the teacher was like, "Oh, thanks, Peter," and some kid in the back was like, "Who's Peter?" And the teacher goes something along the lines of, "Oh, he's your classmate, the guy that sits there, the one with the hat." And the kid in the back goes something along the lines, "I haven't heard him talk before. Who's this kid? I don't even know who this Peter is." And then the whole class starts laughing. And at that time and age, I don't think I could have felt any smaller of a person in terms of my confidence and my own ego. And that just made me want to hide in a little shell and run away forever and ever. But there was this second incident where I haven't talked about yet, but it was during this extracurricular activity kind of club, and we had a meeting at someone's house. And this was my first time going to this meeting, and I didn't know anyone. And when you have social anxiety, you go in a room full of 7 people and you don't know anyone, that's when I just begin to shut down and smile and stuff, but not really have a voice and talk. And first we had this big meeting of all 8, and then we broke up into 2 groups of 3 and 4, and then we're brainstorming about something. And this one girl is looks me dead in the eye and is like, "Do you even talk?" And I just went and for someone who deals with social anxiety, especially during those age, it's what are you supposed to say? Yeah. Even nowadays, I remember still a couple of years ago in university when you go introduce yourself, and they would go around the corner, the room, a circle, and you have to think of something of introducing yourself, or talk about yourself, or talk about something you're interested in. And some people might get a little nervous when it's going person to person, and then you're like, "Oh God, I have to think of something." But for a person with social anxiety, my heart goes 300 miles an hour and my palms start sweating. And that still happens to me here and then. Even when I'm going to a restaurant and I'm walking up the stairs to that restaurant, knowing that there's gonna be a host there standing, my heart still races because I know that I either have to talk to that person, say hi, or smile. And those are some instances where my social anxiety still is there, it still lingers. But I'm proud of myself because I'm able to put myself on the camera to millions of people in the world, well, hundreds. And on top of that, I'm able to talk to random people and strangers. I'm able to connect with people that I don't even know personally, but I'm able to talk to them if I knew them personally. And I'm able to create a relationship and a community with you guys. And if you asked me 10 years ago when I was 14 years old, known as that quiet kid, that kid that people thought was mute, that followed the crowd, be all Mr. Tough Guy and be an Asian gangster, is that I didn't have a voice. I was constantly following the crowd, and I thought, because deep down I knew I was this crazy person, this crazy, weird, awkward person, that I couldn't really be myself, because whenever I was in school around kids that I thought created some crazy situation in my head that they were always judging and looking at me, is that I couldn't be myself. And for me, how I dealt with my own social anxiety is that I went through such a lowest of low, a rock bottom, that I remember, after, senior year of high school, I promised myself that it was time to change, and I needed to do something so I could break my own habits. And that, guys, is my story and situation with my own social anxiety. But don't get me wrong, I still have it here and there with things like when I get invited and to big parties of a person that I don't know, I'm like, yeah, cool, I might be busy that day. Well, sometimes I am. But if it's one person that invites me to a people of 10 people at some kind of party and I don't know any of them, I just freeze up and I'm like a deer in the headlights. More so than your typical person, right? That's what having social anxiety feels like. And it's something that I deal with every day, and I try my best to put on a front sometimes, that's when it comes to YouTube. But I have flaws and insecurities just like every one of you guys, right? No one is perfect. But I want all you guys to know that people that, deal with social anxiety, deal with being the person that couldn't speak up, dealing with the, who you are, but you felt like people labeled you and didn't even know your name. Well, guess what? A part of me has a little chip on, okay, maybe not a chip, but I don't want you. Those kids in elementary and high school. You'll know my name. You best believe that. Check back in a couple years. I'll see y'all in the next one. Deuces.